Now, you will never find success through cold outreach if you forget or neglect the warm outreach part of it. And that's the error that 99% of lead generation agencies, or simply anyone doing cold outreach, is doing, is that they forget about the warm part of it. And so I know these are packed terms, and I know some people will get triggered because of the definitions of the words I use. So I'll explain them in detail and in length, and I'll give you examples of some systems we use internally to maximize our warm outreach. So if you stick with me till the end, I will also reveal exactly how we approach warm outreach at our company, and maybe this will give you some insights for your company, because I think this is pretty high level stuff. So the first thing is, okay, I define warm outreach not as like contacting a friend or whatever. In this scenario, and in this specific case, in this video, I will purely define it as cold outreach is everything until the point where a lead replies positively or shows some intent, or just is aligned with your email. From there on out, I will consider everything else to be warm outreach. So if they never become unresponsive and everything, then you'll likely not need this part. But 90% of the time, the positive replies actually do become unresponsive. But we want to prevent that at all costs, by the way. But if that happens, then we just do warm outreach, okay? And I'll explain exactly how we do this. So, well, the first thing to give you a nugget of what we do is that every single time we get a positive reply, we warm call the lead, okay? So imagine we send an email to a web design firm and they reply, then I will have one of my appointment setters warm call them and say, hey, I saw you replied this to that, you did this to that. Plus, we have a case study just like you. Let's get on a call. I can dive deeper on this, right? I fumbled some words here and there, but you get the point of it. We just warm call them to secure the booking, okay? Once that is done, so this is probably the easiest to implement for the warm outreach part. But if we take a step back, what's the purpose of warm outreach? Well, most people might call this nurturing. Um, I wouldn't particularly call this nurturing, as it's a misleading word, because most people use this to say like, okay, we'll put them inside of a newsletter and we'll call that nurturing. Like, okay, like when someone says that, you just know that they don't know what they're talking about. If we take a step back, you'll realize that the warm outreach is just giving out more information, more value, more I don't know what it can be, more emails, whatever, ahead of a call, okay? Or for a specific purpose, or to get them on a call, right? So when you think about that goal, how does it concretely manifest in your behavior? Well, first of all, imagine we warm call them and that doesn't work, they don't reply or whatever, then we can use this as touch points inside of our warm outreach. So for example, we call them, they don't reply, okay. Then we can shoot over an email 5 minutes later and say, hey, I tried calling you at this number, but you didn't reply. So here was what I wanted to say, boom. Okay. So that's another touch point we can use. But the core focus of this should be to separate yourself from what everyone else is doing. And generally speaking, the more you reach out to someone, the higher your chances of booking a call with them. I think everyone here would agree with that. So the question is, how do we reach out as much as possible to the same person without coming off as spammy or just annoying overall? Well, there are a few neat tricks here and there. And so here's what we do internally. We have back-end sequences, a lot of them, like a crazy ton of them. It's been 2 months I've been building that all day. So we have a lot. But a few examples here are, imagine they reply positively, then it'll enroll them into a sequence where they will receive multiple lead magnets. Those lead magnets have a very specific purpose. Their purpose is to, first of all, position us as an authority. Second of all is that inside of every lead magnet, there is always a CTA to get them on a call. So effectively, how this works in real life is that I'll send a lead magnet from my email address, but by the way, this will be automated, so a very scalable warm outreach. But they will receive the lead magnet, they'll click on it, they'll see the content, cool, all that jazz, but there will also be the CTA. So if they are convinced and they want the same thing for themselves, then they can book a call. If that isn't enough, then we'll send more lead magnets, and some of these lead magnets intertwine with other content. So for example, I have a lead magnet on creating subject lines, and I created a YouTube video on subject lines, which I did. Then on that lead magnet, I'll say, hey, we also have an in-depth video on this. So that will redirect the traffic to YouTube. So that gives me yet another chance to book a call. And inside of every YouTube video, if you check the description, there is always a link to book a call, purely because we just want to have that option available at all times, right? We don't want them searching through threads, email threads for a booking link. That's just bad marketing. So that is one sequence that I think a lot of you thought of instantly or intuitively. Other ones, though, which are even better than lead magnets, actually, there's two of them. The first one is an industry-specific case study. So, for example, you're a web design firm. We already helped a web design firm. Then that's awesome, right? We can use that in our warm outreach to say, hey, well, since you're a web design firm and we've already worked with one called blah, 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 then we know you will have these problems, or you have them, right? Blah, 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 blah. We just insert the problems. Here's how we solved it for that company, right? And you see the point I'm trying to make here. You put all of that into an email, send them the email, and do all of that. Now, the beauty of this is that this, generally speaking, would require a lot of manual input, right? You would have an employee that cross-references similarities between, the lead and your case studies, finds commonalities, boom, puts everything up into an email, sends it over, right? What we've done now is that we've automated this entire process. And this gets me to my next point, which is awesome, and I'll make an entire video on this. And it's that forms are OP. I'll repeat, forms are OP. Why am I saying this? Purely because with forms, you get more information about who you're trying to get in contact with. Through that information, you're able to do three things. You're able to pre-qualify, disqualify, or launch other automations. So pre-qualify, disqualify, they speak for themselves. Launch other automations, for example, that is that through the information we have, we launch another automation that cross-references, as I said previously, our past clients or our current clients with the company we're trying to get in contact with, finds similarities, does all of that jazz for us, and boom, we send it through an email. The beauty of this is that we control all the inputs and outputs, so there is no variability in the quality of what we're actually sending out. I hope that is clear. But anyway, that is one that is extremely important. Another one is video walkthroughs. Like, I just see so many people underutilizing videos. They are probably the biggest tool or asset you can have because it's indefinite. For example, this video, if I wanted to post it in a year from now, I can. Okay. If I want to reference it in content that I might make 3 months down the line, then that'll be a possibility, right? So videos are indefinite. So and they're essentially an asset you can keep if they are relevant enough, right? If for example, I won't refer to a video if it doesn't make sense with what I'm talking about. But anyway, creating personalized videos is awesome. So what this concretely means and how we use this inside of our company is that when we pitch a specific offer, say it'll be a revenue share offer. We don't do that, but let's just use that for an example. Then we will have a sequence. So first of all, we will use one form for ourselves because once I get off a call with a lead, for example, and we see that we're a fit, but maybe 3 months down the line, then we'll have to nurture them, quote unquote, throughout that time. And so the way you can do this is by simply answering the form yourself. And you just say, okay, how was the call? What's the status? When should you reach out? Stuff like that. Answer the form and boom. And suddenly now you will have, that's what we have at least, curated sequences based on the different inputs. So you know how the form I mentioned there was different status, a different outcome, whatever. Well, based on the reply we put, then it'll assign that to a sequence, and that sequence will have the videos I was talking about. So imagine going back to the very beginning. Imagine it's a rev share model. Then throughout that sequence, we will send emails with videos inside of them referring to clients that have been on a rev share model or how this benefits them in different ways, just specialized videos for this exact offer. And so that's how you can do a one-to-many action that is extremely scalable. So that is just one of the other sequences we use. The beauty of this too is that oftentimes automations will intercross with each other. So for example, the form, right, I filled out, well, if you wanted just one step of the process, what some companies might be doing is that after every call that a salesperson has, they fill out a form or they update a lead in their CRM, stuff like that, right? But they stop at that point, okay? And so you could say that is an automation, or because the way we do it, it's automated. Like you could say, oh, if they just have to fill out a CRM, then it's not an automation. But the way we do it, it is, because it also updates the CRM for us automatically and everything. But that is the first step, right? It's the foundation. You just basic info, but then you can build on top of that automation for other automations, like the sequence I mentioned just before. And imagine after that sequence, that still isn't like doesn't get more bookings, then you can put that into another automation that might assign them to a specific newsletter you send or something like that, right? There's so many opportunities here, and all of this is warm outreach, right? So imagine it's 15 minutes, this video, I've been talking about warm outreach, but I've only done like 1%, like talked about 1% of what we do and 1% of what is doable. So when you think about cold outreach, it is definitely not as simple and not as set it and forget thing that most people say it is, right? It takes a lot of back end work to actually make the deals go through, because a lot of people stop at the positive replies. They think they did their job. Like, okay, if that's where you want to stay at, cool, but you'll never get like really good results for your clients if you don't actually help them go from reaching out to people to actual sales, right? So that is just how you convert more of the cold traffic into warm traffic, which then creates deals. So I hope this was insightful. I hope this helped. If it did, you know what to do. And on that, I'll see you in another video.